What's going on, everybody? We're just getting set up. I was going to have a day off, but I just saw a nice stream and it just reminded me of the joys of streaming. One, two, one, two, one, two. There we go. 1, 2. And we're on. Yo, yo. Yeah, I just saw a really cool stream. Somebody working on a game or an engine or a mix of both. And the code looked quite heavy. And naturally I wanted to ask questions that people normally ask of me. And it just reminds me sometimes when the code looks quite heavy going, I see why people think you're smarter than you are, but code's never as complex as it looks. Naturally, I wanted to ask questions that people normally ask of me. Okay, where did I get to yesterday? We was doing linear fog, and I pretty much fixed it today off stream. I'm gonna have a look now. Let me just change the title. So I think I fixed it, but I didn't actually fully update it. Adding fog. Excuse me. That was a big one. That was a big one. Okay, let's run the engine and just see what we're getting at the minute. I don't know if it's rendering or not right now. Time check. Oh, it's only 2:10 in the morning. I thought it was a bit later. That's just me. I've got a candle next to me. I'm not sure if it was just a bad idea to have it on an extra light on the scene. Okay, there's a bit of the engine. Okay, fog on. Okay, so this was the fog that had an error. So if I go to 0, does it think I'm there? So the calculation, I went through a few different things. So here, this will behave like regular fog. You can pretty much see. 1 second. So if I move forward into the world, like at my feet here, where the mouse is, there is no fog. And that should stay consistent. Nice name, what's popping? Nice to meet you. Yeah, no, but so it's not quite working. The fog's getting thicker, whereas the fog should stay on the horizon. It should move relative to the player. But yesterday we had it so if we went in a particular direction, it would work. It might have been this direction. But basically what that told us, let me remove this grid. What that told us was that it doesn't know where we are, basically, or it's calculating our position wrong. So clearly the camera knows where we are. The camera is moving forward and backwards, but that data is not translating to the fog equation. So this is a nice little effect, but the fog should move. Nice to meet you. I think you might have been in here before. I've seen a few names like that. Could be wrong. But what I essentially realized was, so frag position here. So the frag position is essentially, this is a shader. So this is not C++, it's graphics code. And frag position should be the position of the fragment within the world. But I think the calculation was wrong. It should have taken the view. We needed the full position. I'm not going to teach on that just now. But what I did was, we got the world position. I hate shaders. But if we go for, let's have a look. World position. Which is, so this is a position of every vertices that comes in. And we are multiplying it by, wait, is that right? By the model. Yes. And then we have world position. And then if we multiply it by the view, we have, is that the screen space position? I want to check that for me. Okay, let me bring ChatGPT in. It's good to get a quick bit of revision, you know, when you've had some time off coding. Where are we? Here. And here. So what I will do, I was comfortable that this was right earlier. I'm not placing it in its hierarchy. Is this world position? Then following this, we would add view and get Screen. Reminders. Nice. Okay, we're not afraid, we can give that a refresh. If not, I'm going to Grok. Interesting. It's got too much competition for those that know about DeepSeek. Okay, Grok it is. Yeah, clip position. Sorry chat if I'm ignoring anybody. The snippet we provided calculates the world position of a vertex. So it knows where as we're drawing the terrain and we want to apply a fog to it, we need to know first the terrain setup, how it looks, and then we multiply that matrix, that geometry by what did we have? The model. And the model is how we've adjusted and how we've placed that terrain within the land. So if you have a 3D game engine and then you've got the land, that's two different things. Where you put it in the land will then give specific coordinates to all of the mesh, and so it's called its world position. And then later we add another matrix so we know where it belongs on the screen. But all we need is the world position. So then we know we have the numbers and the locations and the math. Let's have a look. To apply fog in the distance and near us, because we know where we are, we know what where the terrain is further away. So instead of the one that didn't work, so the X, Y, Z of the world position, famous last words. And we can close that. Let's draw some terrain. Maybe we make the terrain a bit bigger. Okay, so it's drawn the terrain, so that means that the code's accurate. Sweet. And let's turn the fog on. And then we'll tell the fog to start at 0 where we are, and then for it to get stronger quite far away. Now when we move, the fog should push back, and near our feet it should stay so you can see the ground. Whereas before we were just walking into the fog, but fog is always on the distance, right? Unless it's very, very thick. Yeah, so our feet is staying clear. And as we go into the mountains, the fog gets pushed back. What was happening was, this was the terrain, and it knew how the terrain was drawn, but it didn't know where this part of the engine knows where the terrain was drawn, but the fog didn't. So the fog wasn't, it wasn't mathing. The maths wasn't mathing. Let's see if it's working this way. Last time it only fixed one direction. Yeah, I think it's doing it fine. So the fog is always in the distance now. If we go this way, Yep. I think we're good. So feet is fine, and the fog. And we can push the fog further back. And we can also tell it to start further back. So it's starting like here. Wait a minute, can you guys not see? No, I think you can. Yeah, you can see. So we have linear fog. If you've never seen this channel before, sometimes there's a few random oceans just floating in locations that aren't physically possible. But that's just because I've made the terrain was small, I just made it bigger. And actually I don't have any controls to change the water size at the minute. The water and the grid we don't need. Let's move some of this. I think when I turn the tools off as I just did, I think the fog doesn't relocate. Yeah. Okay, so now this is, if I press that, it will fix. But this demonstrates what the problem was. So if you didn't understand or if you didn't see the error of the fog. So the fog looks fine. But if I walk to it, we will become like drown in fog because the fog isn't moving. Because what I've done is I'm not sending that information to the graphics card because I've turned it off with my shift button. If I press that again, now the fog is updating in real time. So it's clear where we are and there's just fog on the distant horizon. Or horizons. Wait a minute. Oh no, I've turned it off. There we are. No, I turned it off again. The key's sticking. Perfect. And I will confirm that the fog will move. Always on the horizon. Now we need a fog color, don't we? Grey works, but we want a different color, I think. We want to be able to choose the color. By the way, this is just the color of the sunlight, not the fog. That's totally different parts of the engine. And now we're going to quit this and we're going to add something that lets us change the fog color. I think we kind of have the right color. We'll just at least have the option to tweak it a little bit. Let me zoom out. Let me see how fog's working. Just and we need the option to put the fog even further back. If we start it behind us, then we're already in the thickness. It's good fun. And this is just, I've got one of the bugs I need to fix. Repeating these tools, it's drawing it 4 times. It renders my scene 4 times for shadow and reflections in the water. And there's a little error there. Excuse me. Okay, so what did I just promise I was going to do? Color. Fog color. So I need a color picker. And I forget the code for a color picker. Color P. It might be color edit, yeah. So we'll take that. And let me give you some screen to see. So fog start. We want a fog color. Fog color, And I assume it has to be a vector free. Yeah. Oh, I already have it. Perfect. Fog color. Yeah, I should have saw that. Okay, and then we need to send fog color to the GPU shaders. Okay. So how do we do that? Fog color location, and we will call it fog. I'm going to spell it the English way. Have I already been spelling it wrong? Free float. Yes. And is it a reference? Okay, that's how you do it. So I think you do a reference to the first property. FV. So I need one more parameter. Okay, so we'll call it fog color. It's editing this variable. It's finding it in the shader. It's going to send it. So now we just need to do the shading side. Do I already have it in here? Yes. It needs to be a uniform, which means we're going to send it to the... And then we can get rid of that. We was defining a color there. Let's load it up. Okay, that's a good start. The terrain's drawing. Should I do some big mountains or yeah, let's... Why not? The sun bright. I don't know what color would have the sun. Maybe just blue, red. So there's a fog color preset. Start at 0. So it doesn't have any color yet. It doesn't now, but that might not be working with the looks of it. Oh wait, shall we turn it on? Okay. So I think it's not sending, and so it's just got black by default. Which, interesting, is a good nighttime effect. It's almost like a distance view. can make the sky darker. It's obviously too dark like that. But you can quickly see how you can use a fog effect for different things. I like it. But the fog color is not going. And start. This here is the colour of the sun tinting the land, so that's not related to the fog at all. Okay, we're going to fix the colour. Where's my code? Vector of 3, is that right? Uniform vec 3. Where's the code? There's going to be an error here. Yep. So that is where, this is the location of the fog color on the shader. I'd copied and pasted this and not changed it. So now it's sending it to the fog color location, which is what we just saw down there. There. So this should do it. Let's turn the fog on. It's obviously gone straight to black. Gone to red. I don't know what colour fog is really, whitey grey. So we kind of had the right colour anyway, as I said. Okay, so now we have varied. We have the option to change the color of the fog basically. And if you're thinking about different planets on a game engine, it could be more atmospheric. So it's not necessarily cold or ice. But of course some of these are obviously just wrong and ugly and they blend in too much. I think you'd bring a bit of grey in. Let's have a look. And I think so. What happens on the horizon is that the fog becomes completely 100%, and we need to remove that. So it's never 100%. So there's always some of the texture of the mountain showing through. And just the fog end could change that if you pushed it all the way back, but there's a limit. So I'll make that bigger, I think, the fog end. Put it to 2000. So there we go. And we can make it stop. We don't want to change that. The fog shouldn't end the opposite direction to where we're looking. I do wonder if that will create any bugs for when the terrain doesn't go that far. I don't like that, in case it does. Let's turn the fog on. Nice. So it should start at 0. And that should be a default, and then... How is that? Ah, interesting. Last time that its limit was 128, which is about there. That's how it was last time. And then we would go further back. So the end of the fog, its capacity is behind the mountains. So as you can see, you can now still see some of the mountain. I would push it even further back. Make it grey, realistic. Bring it in a bit. Make it start. And as you get closer, it's clear. It's always in the distance. I'm enjoying my fog. And this is linear fog, which is the worst there is, really, the simplest. When I see these colours, I just think of different planets and different climates. I'll keep it real. And also, you don't want to start the fog where you are necessarily. It could just be right for the far distance. Maybe like that. And soon I'm going to have it so this terrain not procedural but just continual for like a long, just large basically. This is very small. Let's just test it on something. A bit bigger like that. So now we'll say the fog's in the far distance. Just straight away the feeling's completely different. It adds some realism. Let's bring it in a bit nearer the camera. What if it was green? What I can do actually, shall we load in a different texture, a bit of snow? So these are obviously quite low quality textures. Let's hide the water. There. Trying to think what other textures I have. Maybe was there a sand texture? So there was a sand texture. Just gives a bit of variance. Okay, fog level 1 completed. I don't want to just bore myself to death with fog. Sweet. What did I say I was going to fix or look at next? Why did I forget? Add linear fog. Mission accomplished. Okay. There is a... There's another formula for fog. I don't think I need it just yet. So the linear fog, every step you take, it's getting a percentage thicker. But real fog doesn't necessarily behave like that, like on a perfect. As you go forward, it increases. It can be different. Have almost a random property. And maybe I should look at a more advanced version. Let's go to ChatGPT. See if it's working yet. I forgot the word. An exponential, that's it. I have linear fog. Very basic. Here is the formula. Can you suggest better versions? Okay. And where's my formula for fog? If fog is turned on here. Once you've got the concept in, then you can just change. There's one equation that's drawing that linear fog. We can have options. Your linear fog implementation is correct, but linear fog is a hard transition and can look unnatural. Here are a few suggestions. Exponential fog creates a more natural fall off. This makes the fog grow gradually with distance. So fog factor. Okay, so we're just times in. What's the difference? The fog factor. Fog distance divide by range. Wait, it's got fog density. Are we using fog density? No, we're not. But I think, was it fog? Maybe it was the range. I don't have fog density. What was it? The range? I don't think it was. No. Okay, so we need to define fog density first. So it starts as 1. That's to normalize it. Divided, yeah, so we normalize it. Fog in, fog start. Exponent fog variables. Alternative factor. So we have fog factor here, and then what we're going to do is have a second fog factor, and then we'll just comment one of these out. Fog density is here. So there's 2 different ways you can make the fog behave, and we're just going to see if this exponential fog is working. Is it going to draw? Okay, that's a good sign. So is that, start the fog at 0 and end it in the distance. We'll make the world a little bigger again. And some mountains. Still kind of smooth this time. And some light. Okay, let's go and look what we made. Let's turn the grid off and the water. And we'll bring the fog in. Might need to bring it closer to see the effect. But the difference now is that it's not just slowly getting stronger. It's getting, as you take a few steps, the fog's getting denser. And a few more steps, it's getting even more denser at a faster rate, so the curve's higher. But we should always start at 0, so the maths just doesn't get confused, I believe. And then push it into the background a bit. instead of 0, I think it's nice to say the fog doesn't start for at least, I don't know, 50 to 100 meters. But then it can get thick quite quick. The sky's probably too light. As well. You could have a grey sky. Don't go stealing my fog code. When the interface is turned off, the fog doesn't move. So that's better. I can zoom faster through the world. And get rid of the green. It's not really fit into the scene. More mountainous and more rugged. Even more, that might ruin it, I think. Let's have a look. Yeah. It's sometimes good with the sunlight for that sort of maybe a darker scene. The sun a little bit reddy grey. The fog, I mean. It's good fun, right? Bit of rain, soundtrack, across here, some little deers to shoot. Or a jetpack. I'm feeling a jetpack. See, that tells me here. Oh, you can see the fog's not moving. If I hit shift, there you go. I'll fix that now. What it's doing, it's only sending an update. And where are we? Here. It's only sending the position. Of the camera if the user interface is on, so we're going to send that regardless, so now it will just always work. So anyone in chat working on any particular projects? That was in the way, wasn't it? Height-based fog. This version adds a vertical component. Let's see if that will plug straight in. Frag position. Yeah, we have frag position working. So that should just work. Let me just switch this off. And then we'll tie these to buttons, so when we're in the engine, we'll turn these on and off. And I already have the buttons ready. That's why you see fog on and off and advanced fog, but I hadn't connected it. But this is apparently height based, so there'll be more fog lower to the 0. Okay, nice, that didn't work. Let's see where the typo is. Fog height. Yeah, fog height doesn't exist. How should I calculate fog height? I don't know if this is necessary really. So let's say 10. I want to get a feel for how it works before I take the trouble and add an extra tool. So what I think's happening with the height, let's go underneath. Yeah, you can see there's a height factor here that's just strange. So this has completely flipped it. So instead of forward and backwards, I thought it was both. So if we make some high mountains, you will see where it's not impacting and where it is. Maybe not so many, but nice and high. So it'll be in the valleys, I think. And of course it needs to be tuned better. But you could get some good effects like this. And obviously you could flip it, you could make the fog at the top of the mountains, which would be more useful in different places. And like different environments. A bit of a bug there, but it kind of works out okay. Fog in the depths. Get the sun up. That's interesting. Let's see if the fog moves now. Well, it won't move because it's being rendered differently. It's a little nice effect, but it's not. It's wrong because It just looks like a shadow. It looks like a bad shadow. Right. Yeah, but that is height-based fog. So we've got a few working now. I'm going to come back tomorrow, and this alternate fog, I will get that bottom wired in. So it's changing the different types of fogs. But you can definitely get some strange effects, right? And you're probably already thinking like it doesn't have to be fog. It just becomes another tool in the kit really of the engine. Get some No Man's Sky features going. Okay guys, I'm going to log off. Good night. Subscribe and like, and I'll see you tomorrow. That was a mistake.